$836 billion. That is the estimated value of the rare earth minerals sitting beneath Greenland's ice sheet. To put that number in perspective, it is roughly equal to the entire annual GDP of the Netherlands, one of the wealthiest countries in Europe. And right now, that wealth belongs to a territory of 56,000 people. The United States wants it, China wants it, Russia wants it, and Donald Trump has already tried to buy it, twice. For most of history, Greenland was a frozen footnote, a remote island that Denmark inherited in 1953, too cold and too expensive to matter. But climate change did something no one planned for. It started melting the ice, and when the ice melts, what's underneath it becomes visible, and what's underneath it turns out to be one of the most valuable pieces of real estate on the planet. In 2019, Trump first asked his advisors to explore purchasing Greenland. Denmark called it absurd. The world laughed. Then in 2025, he asked again, louder and with more intent. And this time, nobody is laughing. So here is the question that no one is properly answering. What actually happens if the United States buys Greenland? What does America gain? What does Denmark lose? And who, beyond the United States, gets hurt? To understand why Greenland matters now, you have to understand what is actually hidden beneath its ice, and why the timing of this conversation is not accidental. Greenland sits on top of some of the largest untapped deposits of rare earth elements anywhere on Earth. These are the materials that make smartphones work, that power electric vehicle batteries, that manufacture the guidance systems of modern missiles. Right now, China controls more than 60% of global rare earth production. The United States controls almost none. Whoever controls Greenland changes that equation permanently. Beyond rare earths, Greenland holds significant reserves of oil, natural gas, uranium, and zinc. The United States Geological Survey estimates the waters around Greenland contain up to 17% of the world's undiscovered oil. That is more oil than the entire proven reserves of Iraq. This is not a new idea. In 1946, President Harry Truman offered Denmark $100 million for Greenland in gold. Denmark refused. The United States then built 3 military bases there anyway, including Thule Air Base, which remains active today and is one of the most strategically positioned military installations in the Northern Hemisphere. So the question has never been whether the United States wants Greenland. The question has always been, at what price and under what terms? If the deal happened, if the United States formally acquired Greenland, what would America actually gain? First, rare earth independence. Greenland holds deposits of 17 of the 34 minerals the United States has classified as critical to national security. Acquiring sovereign control over those deposits would reduce American dependency on Chinese supply chains overnight. Second, Arctic military dominance. Greenland sits directly between North America and Europe, and directly below the shortest flight path between Russia and the United States. Whoever controls Greenland controls the Arctic Early Warning Corridor. The United States already has Thule Air Base, but as a tenant. Owning the territory is a different strategic reality entirely. Third, the Northern Sea Route. As Arctic ice continues to melt, a new ocean shipping lane is opening between Asia and Europe, one that cuts current transit times by up to 40%. Controlling Greenland means the United States has a permanent presence on that route. Right now, Russia claims it. China is investing in it. The United States is watching from a distance. Analysts estimate the United States would need to offer somewhere between $80 and $120 billion for a legitimate acquisition deal. That sounds like an enormous sum, until you compare it to the strategic value of what you are buying. Now here is where it gets complicated, and where most coverage of this story gets it wrong. The assumption is that Denmark would never sell, but the financial reality of Greenland makes that assumption fragile. Denmark currently spends approximately $600 million per year in subsidies to maintain Greenland. That is roughly $11,000 for every single resident of the island. In return, Denmark receives a territory that generates almost no economic output, requires enormous administrative overhead, and is increasingly pushing for full independence anyway. Greenland held its first independence referendum discussion in 2021. Surveys consistently show that a majority of Greenlanders want independence from Denmark. Not necessarily union with the United States, but independence. A deal that funds that independence transition while providing Greenland with the infrastructure investment it currently lacks might be more appealing than it first appears. There is a scenario, and it is not implausible, where Denmark sells, Greenland agrees, and both parties come out ahead financially. The only losers in that scenario would be countries that were counting on Greenland remaining inaccessible. Countries like China and like Russia. China's response to the Greenland question is not hypothetical. It is already documented. In 2016, a Chinese company called General Nice attempted to purchase an abandoned mining base in Greenland called Isua. Denmark blocked it. In 2018, a Chinese state-linked consortium bid to build 3 airports in Greenland. The United States pressured Denmark to reject it. In 2019, a Chinese company attempted to buy a disused military base in southern Greenland. The United States intervened again. China has made 3 separate attempts to establish a physical presence in Greenland in less than a decade. All 3 were blocked, and this pattern of China attempting and the United States resisting explains why the purchase question is not really about money. It is about permanently closing a door that China has been trying to open for years. A US acquisition of Greenland would not just give America strategic advantages, it would specifically eliminate China's Arctic strategy, and Beijing knows it. So, will the United States actually buy Greenland? Probably not as a formal purchase. International law makes the direct sale of a populated territory extraordinarily complicated. But what is already happening is something that may achieve the same result through different means. The United States is deepening its economic relationship with Greenland directly, outside of Copenhagen. American investment in Greenland's mining sector is accelerating. US military presence is expanding, and Greenland's path toward independence, which was always a question of funding, is increasingly being shaped by American financial influence. The last time the United States made a territorial acquisition of this strategic importance, it was Alaska. That deal was made in 1867 for $7 million, 2 cents per acre. Critics called it Seward's folly. Within 20 years, it had paid for itself 1,000 times over. Whether Greenland is acquired formally or absorbed gradually, one thing is clear: the map of the Arctic is being redrawn. And the countries that are moving fastest to claim their position on that new map are not the ones the world is watching.